It's going.
We're good.
We're in. All right,
I
everybody. Welcome to the first episode of the Public Safety Special Broadcast. This is, I think, the first Chainsaw Man weekly discussion podcast. The something I'm surprised about because the weekly discussions always pop off like they're crazy. The chapters are so good. I know Jake does them on his channel already because check out Jake's channel if you want that.
It
But
sucks, but do what you gotta do.
No.
he's doing it again. But this is going to be a little bit longer for him. I mean, you know how weekly discussion stuff is. We're going to get into it here. I want to start with introductions. I will go around, state your name, age, and devil contract. Those who know me know I am SecretDoves, age 33. And devil contract, of course, is the War Devil. Of course.
Makes sense.
Yeah. I'll hand it off.
I am Crash. I'm Crash from the YouTube channel Manga Crash with over, I think, 10 billion subscribers right now.
Oh my god, let's go.
And my devil contractor is the Rock Devil.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, I can play the same character in every movie. That's my ability.
That's the devil power.
Yeah.
That's terrifying.
I'm Jake. I am 25 years old. I run a YouTube channel called Jake Jones. That's my real legal name, so don't dox me. Or I guess if you want to, I already put it all out there. I just came back from... No, I'm not going to say that. I have a contract. Actually, no, fuck it. I have a contract with the testicular torsion devil because I just twisted one of my nuts. So I just came back from the doctor, and I'm eating some candy corn right now.
Nice.
Yes.
I never had one of those. Like, I don't think those things even exist in Portugal.
They're god-awful, but I like it.
I don't know why they exist.
That's what I heard.
It's purely a cultural thing at this point because they don't taste good.
Oh! My devil contract is with the what is it? The testicle devil that kicked Aki in the nuts back in chapter.
I was like the testicle devil,
2 or 3 or whatever. Yeah, that's what happened.
Real canonical lore in there. Yeah. Let's go. All right, we're in. All right, there we go. We are in. On the show, it's going to be about an hour podcast, good for your lunch breaks. You know, get it locked in. This time, we're coming in on the heels of chapter 141, which is leading into a 2-week break and a nice little moment to hop into a discussion, I think, of part 2 thus far, which is where we kind of have to begin with this since we are dropping in the middle of part 2. So, you know, that's a big topic, but we're going to try and keep it locked in. I've said so much about part 2 in my various spaces, but I haven't actually heard Crash and Jake's sort of overall takes. So that's where I want to begin, just by like opening up the discussion. We've had basically 2 large sections of part 2. The initial Asa Mitaka part that goes through her whole setup, establishing the character, backstory, everything, and then putting her in position as she is now. And we've just finished the sort of interstitial Denji arc, where we're getting back into Denji's character. He's getting, you know, he is also getting put in position, moved around from where he ended in part 1. So let's start with the Denji arc, since that's the most recent thing we've all encountered.
Yeah.
And wow, it is a tough one. It is a tough one. So just baseline, how have you both felt about this Denji arc? Let's start with Jake since he went last. I mean,
I'm gonna keep it a straight stack with you, Chiefs. I don't fucking remember what happened in the last chapter. Wait, no, that was the fucking terrorist plot while they were in Family Burger.
yes,
Okay,
Family
okay.
Burger, the
How I
Tarantino setup.
feel about
Yeah.
that was like I said in my video too, like it's kind of sad that I was way more excited for the fact that they were having a discussion in Family Burger than the fact that we finally got the spear and whip hybrid again. And
I mean, it's an iconic
the whip and
restaurant.
nene hybrids. But
It's
I
amazing
saw
that
there
that
was
place is still open, though.
I was like the pointing soy jack though. Wait, let me see if I can get it on camera. That way.
Family Burger. The Family
Wait,
Burger.
yeah, look at it.
We'll have
Yeah.
to edit in a little Family Burger sign in there.
So Denji arc so far has been sick, and it's definitely like part of actually. I have one concern about it, and I've never said this in a video or anything like that, but part of me is concerned that this like Denji attention we're getting right now is Fujimoto's response to criticism. This is me grasping at straws. I don't know, because I know like fucking turbo babies that have no reading comprehension abilities were crying about Asa Mitaka being the main character on Twitter for like the past year now, and but like we've barely gotten Asa in the past like 10 chapters now, and I can't help but worry that maybe like Fujimoto's trying to please the turbo babies too much. I don't know. This is just speculation.
I can't see Fujimoto even wanting to please anyone other than himself when writing stories.
That's true, and I feel you there. Yeah.
I mean, as far as I can tell, those Turbo Baby whiners have not liked this Denji arc at all because, their boy, their MC, who they've been
they
waiting
can suck my
for.
twisted nut.
Yeah, they've been like he's just sad, bro. He's not doing shit. His life
Sad,
is
bro.
going to
Denji arc is
shit.
super hot fire.
He is
That's
in.
Denji, though.
Yes. Yes. Oh, yes. But it has been a downward spiral for Denji, which we've had once before, and it was really bad. But broadly speaking, the part one Denji arc is pretty much like a big ride to the top and then just a plummet into hell. Literal plummet into hell. So this is the first sort of like real like slow twisted decline that we've had, the closing in, which has been very interesting to me. How have you two felt about that aspect? Are you vibing with it? Do you think it's too slow, or is it, you know?
I don't necessarily think it's too slow. I don't know. There's part of me that feels like Denji behaves a little bit differently in part two compared to part one, and in some ways, I kind of prefer part one Denji.
What
And I
way?
get it. Like
What
like you said,
what is it? What do you wish? What do you want to see? What do you need? What do you need?
what do I want to see?
Yeah.
I don't even know what I want to see, man. I just feel like Denji writing like character wise feels slightly different. Not like completely, but I feel like I don't know. So far, he has lacked a little bit of the depth that he had in part one. I feel like Fujimoto is putting a lot of that depth into Asa. I don't mind it. I think it because like we had part one all for Denji. We kind of know
Yeah, I mean, yeah,
how
true.
he is so far. So we got like part two to really devolve into Asa, and I think it's amazing how he managed to write like two main characters uh, that work essentially because I love Asa. Probably not as much as Doves does, but I
Yeah,
do.
Probably not yet,
But yeah,
but
I feel like the change in Denji's character is to me, just from me looking at it, it feels both intentional and actually like natural. I agree. I feel like Denji in part one was a lot of fun. I like him
oh
right now,
yeah.
and I feel like Denji's good moments in part two are better than his best moments in part one. But
Mm, a
overall,
bold
part
claim.
one he's been more consistent. I feel like
yeah.
you cannot tell
Yeah, but
me that him saying "have some respect for yourself" in his head while he's sucking on a devil's tentacle. You cannot tell me that that's not brilliant. And name
I
name me
loved
one
it.
fucking scene that tops that.
Dude,
But I feel like in
people
particular,
hated that scene.
well, they can
Everybody
suck
was
my dick. I don't give a fuck what they think. But
sheesh.
they
I was with you. I
they
thought
they,
that
they
chapter was some heat, dude. That was heat. Fujimoto fucking
I feel like
got
people
well,
people wanted. I feel like people wanted a lot of Denji's traits to have changed because of the
mm,
arc that he went through during part one. I think people expect him to be less simpy.
so
Even though,
that's oh sorry.
yeah, I was gonna say like there hasn't been an, an actual like big event that has completely changed his view on that aspect. I mean, sure
I
there was a couple
sorry.
with power and everything, but not completely.
I would argue that he has changed, and I would like what I was trying to get up before with like the intentionality of it.
He has,
So
yeah.
like it's like an impulse control thing rather than him just being an idiot. So if you take example the scene that we were just talking about where he sucks the devil's tentacle,
Mm.
that was silly and all like that. But at least the fact that he had that conversation in his head, the fact that he knew that he was walking into a fucking easy honey trap again, even I mean, was it a honey trap? Who even knows at this point? Uh,
Yeah.
the fact that he at least can recognize that it shows actually quite a lot of character growth. And honestly, a lot of Denji right now, what it feels like to me is it feels like what would naturally happen to someone like Denji, like the Denji that we had established in part one of Chainsaw Man. Denji in part one had a lot of people to essentially look after him. Like even though he was responsible for himself in a lot of ways, but he had structure in his life. He had Aki to
Mhm.
kind of look out for his best interest. He had power to kind of look after like a little sister. He had Makima, who was albeit like a love interest for him, but also like she added a lot of structure to his life. All of
Oh
that
yeah.
structure in his life was taken away. Kishibe hasn't stuck around to because also he's
God.
17. Kishibe hasn't stuck around to
He's
help
17, like
make sure he's
mentally.
going.
He's like,
Where are you?
Yeah, 5.
Kishibe,
No,
where the
yeah,
literally.
fuck are you, bro? Like, what the fuck is
Yeah.
this?
This is like part 1 Denji if you kill his family and then give him nothing else to help him along for the rest of the ride.
Yeah,
Like
yeah,
so I
which
feel
is
like it's
exactly
it's
what
only
happened.
natural. Yeah.
literally it.
Yeah, it
I
makes sense. And you're right. Denji is clearly like more conscious about his actions. Is like, it's in that phase where I think a lot of people find themselves. I think I've also found myself in where it's like, I know I'm doing this and I know it's wrong and I know I've been doing this for a while and I need to change that behavior because it's wrong. But it's not at the point where it's a point where he says I need to change, but then he doesn't change. You know?
yes, and the thing
Yeah.
about it is, what you need in real life, and what Denji clearly needs, is some help. Like this guy is alone with a kid that
Yeah.
he is the guardian of, and how the fuck is he supposed to get his shit together in this situation? He is by himself. He has, all of the development and stuff he said, like Jake said, he had all this structure in part one. These people around him who, in the end, Fujimoto comes in and lays out the real danger of like leaving all of your life and the choices and the structure that you live in to other people and how they take advantage of that and how the power structures manipulate people with the structure that they provide. Um, but, you know, when you're around other people, you can get that support and companionship that helps you change. But as Denji did, but now he doesn't have anything. He's completely isolated and alone. And the newest arc, he's just getting swallowed up. He's just circling the drain, even though he wants out, which I can understand why people are frustrated with it. They're like, I thought he I thought he had changed, but he doesn't seem to actually have changed, which does kind of feel like a little bit of a sour note on the end of part one. But to be honest, part one ends on a sour note. It's not really a triumphant story, even though he defeats the villain and she's, now she's good. Now she's good. She was bad. Now she's good.
Yeah.
But for Denji, he still lost everything. He still has nothing. And, the very final motive that he gets is the same one he started with. He's been trying to fuck the whole time. He was trying to fuck at the end. He's still trying to fuck. It is what it is. Nothing has changed about it.
Let the man catch a break.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let the man get some.
I, that reminds me. I saw. I don't know who. I think it was Axel. But I don't know. It was on Twitter. Someone saying like before the chapter. It was like 2, 3 chapters ago, where he's with the girl, the one in the cinema. I forgot her name.
Fumiko.
Mifude.
Yeah, yeah. You both said different names, and I said yeah.
First and
Yeah.
last name. First
Yeah.
and last name.
Okay,
Mifude Fumiko,
cool.
yeah.
I'm bad. I'm very bad at names, so thankfully I'll have you guys. And someone's saying like, oh, another girl that is here to kill Denji. Anyone that says that Fujimoto is not from Lake is wrong. And I thought it was like that was not what happened actually.
Yeah.
In the end, that's not true. And she's sort of
So there you go.
she is sort of a repeat of Himeno in a way. Himeno 2.0.
Yeah.
Because
So already know she's fucked. She's out.
Yeah.
She's gone.
Yeah, she's weirdo. You know what I mean? Everyone's like, why? That's okay. Here was my thing with that. Is like everyone was very upset about how shit went down. Because Fujimoto just went sicko mode again. He was like, by the way, I'm a sicko. You forgot. You know what I mean?
Put some respect on my name.
I had you hooked in with my, Tumblr type Asa Mitaka arc. And I just had to let you know. You know what I mean? I'm still a sicko. Don't forget. But, I mean, the whole thing with public safety being full of groomers is like real shit.
Are we okay? Are we 100% sure we want to get into this territory? Are we like 100% sure?
right from the episode 1.
Is this a discussion that we want to have?
Look, dude, this is Chainsaw Man. This is Chainsaw Man. I mean, Makima is that, right? Like, that's the arc.
Yeah.
That's the arc. That's the discussion of the story.
But Makima is a little bit different.
Is she?
I mean, yeah. I mean, I'm not saying like she's not grooming him, but
she
in
definitely
the
does.
Sexual way we're always saying.
Right.
Facts, no, straight facts, yeah.
But
like
at the same.
I mean, she uses like her sexuality to lead him, but that is not what she wants. What she wants is to groom him into being Chainsaw Man, the guy that she knows, the Chainsaw Devil, not actually Chainsaw Man.
Right, but it is still like abusive grooming in sort of a metaphorical way. She's doing the thing.
Yes.
But I mean, that is sort of like Fujimoto's coming in, looking at, state institutions and giving this metaphor of how, the state grooms young people into for its own purposes. and these institutions serve that function. So he has the individuals within that institution stand in that role, which makes them fucked up and bad people.
That's fair.
Yeah.
That is fair.
I do get that it's always very frustrating when a Fujimoto character is a fucked up and bad person, because they're such good characters. He just fucking like, you're just like, damn, why do they have to be
It's
bad?
for me,
You know what I mean?
the
Shit.
part of it, part of it for the conversation of like that we're having now. What makes it so exhausting to me is if I say like, yeah, I really like Makima as a character, and like, yeah, you like a groomer, and I'm like, okay,
Yeah.
come on,
Yeah.
we're talking about
Yeah.
cartoons.
I
Can
mean,
we just take a step back
yeah.
for a second?
Yes.
I think people
Yes, I
need
do.
to understand that.
Because that's
Yeah.
the character. That's what it's about. That's why she's a
think
good
My
character.
fucking
Yeah.
SecretDoves is in my top 3 favorite groomer supporters.
Okay,
Groomer apologist.
please.
No, but that's the type of shit. That's the type of shit you'll get. That's the type of shit you'll get. I'm just saying. And like at the same, that's why like I avoid this shit like the plague, because
Well, you're in it
like
now.
I get it. Listen. We're here to say. Listen, I get it. Makima, real shitty girl. You know, I
Bad
honestly
person.
like. Hey,
Yeah.
bad person. Unfortunately, the way Fujimoto wrote characters like Makima is that he makes them likable. So if you say something like, I like this character, fuck, people on the internet, they take that and they misconstrue it.
Yeah.
Obviously, like me saying I
can
like
do that.
Makima doesn't mean that she's good.
Yeah,
She's terrible.
Yeah, I feel like people, you can't do villains anymore because people take. It's so weird, like, because of course Makimi is the bad guy. Of course, the thing that she does is bad. It's like saying, like, someone saying, "Oh, I like Darth Vader," and something like, "You're a genocide apologist."
Yeah, you're a fascist.
Yeah, dude. Dude,
Genocidal.
literal fucking space
No.
Nazi. Literal
Yeah.
space Nazi.
That's
Yeah.
just
Exactly.
Hitler, bro. What the hell? He's space.
It's
How can you like
with
that
with
character?
Mifune, Fumiko. It's like it's Mifune and Himeno, especially because of the interactions they had with Denji.
Alright,
Yeah, to be fair,
fucked up.
like with this kind
Yeah.
of discussion, fucked up, terrible thing. And I will say this, and there is like when talking about these events, and like a lot of people like Himeno. I like Himeno. I think Himeno is a great character. I thought she was one of the best written characters in Part 1 of Chainsaw Man.
And then also were like, shit, I shouldn't be doing this with a minor. By the way,
She
she did say that is true.
but
But
then she realized that he was.
I mean, yeah, it's not like infallible.
I mean-
but I feel like when people
Yeah,
talk about,
she
and
still did it, though.
I've seen discussions about this. I don't remember who it was. I saw someone get super fucking like flambéed, grilled, absolutely roasted on the internet for like talking about Himeno, and like to be fair, this person was like, I think, defending the actions. Listen. I'm far
Yeah.
from defending that. At the same time, when it comes to like liking characters, I would even go as far as to say I like the silliness in Fumiko Mifune. I like the silliness in her character. Obviously, super gross. You know what happened, but it's one of those things where it's, and this is different. I will say, like you know, the whole like, oh god, I can't believe I'm talking about this. Like how people are like, how could Loli Cod be bad if it's just cartoons? That's a different conversation.
You're going all the way in, dude.
Why'd you just
Yeah.
bring everything here?
But
Episode
I have,
1.
why not? First episode, baby. But like with the Fumiko
We're in.
Mifune and
Gonna
Himeno
pardon
kind of
everything.
thing, I feel like in this conversation, like it's one of those things where if we overthink it past what Fujimoto's intention is with the writing, because this is one of those situations where we could think that is an actual gross fucked up, that's a crime in real life, that's an
Yeah.
actual crime. But like when it comes to like cartoons that we read, like in this
Yeah.
specific case, it does feel like, let's not read too deep into the cartoons.
And
I mean, okay, so
we can easily. Sorry.
my thing with it is like, fiction is this place where you get to have, like, in real life, actions and consequences, and like the effects of things that people do for real are sort of like you can never go back. They're real. Real people's lives are impacted and changed. So there's no room to like think about uh, there's a lot consequences and discussions around that sort of have to lack a certain amount of nuance because of the weight of reality. But fiction is a
Yeah.
place where you get to have sympathy for the devil without people actually getting hurt, right? You can look at a character like Makima who does like all this horrible shit, or a character like Himeno who's clearly like self-destructive and it's harmful to people around her, or a character like Fumiko who just seems like a fucking freak, like just an absolute weirdo, completely off the rails person who doesn't give a shit that she might be causing problems or doing harm. She's weird. You can look at those characters and think about them with nuance and complexity in the space where that's, you know, it's not real. This shit's not actually happening. So you can process it in different ways. I do think there are things to say about whether the topics at hand are more serious and you need to treat them more seriously. But I mean, Fujimoto's been rolling like this since day one, since Fire Punch, since all his one shots. He's a
Yeah.
fucking sicko. He's a weirdo.
Fire Punch has like the way like Fire Punch like
Yeah.
Chainsaw Man is like diet Fire Punch when
Like,
it comes to
yeah,
like
Yeah.
fucked up shit.
Yeah.
that's true.
The shit that goes
I
down in
feel
Fire
like
Punch is just, you're just like, what the
the
fuck, bro?
discussion that lacks when talking about this a lot of times is how the acts are portrayed in the story. If they are, if they're seen as wrong within the characters or not, or within the story, because I think it is fine to portray bad things if the story shows them as bad things.
Yeah.
Uh,
I see what you mean.
one of I get it. I don't think I've ever gotten into discussion because I can't bother. But one of my favorite characters in My Hero Academia is Endeavor, which I don't know if you guys read My Hero
Yeah,
Academia.
yeah.
Yeah.
I
I
like my
think if I
hero.
ever said that to anyone, I would just be burned alive. Like on
Well,
Twitter,
you
I would
said it
probably be
now.
burned alive. Yeah, I did.
He,
You
Yeah.
just said it,
I like
bruh.
Endeavor too.
But
He's a
Endeavor
good
like,
has one of the
character.
best redemption arcs.
Endeavor has such a great character arc, and I
Yeah.
think the thing that I like him the most is we get to experience like the complexity of why he's doing the bad things, and we need to, like the consequences that he has on his act on his life, and him realizing how bad things really were that he was doing. Like I find it so much interesting, more than I like Deku, but he's not by any means the most interesting character in My Hero Academia. Endeavor
Endeavor's
is,
story, yeah. Oh, so good.
but like people automatically dismiss him because he's a bad character. I mean, he's done really
He's a
horrible things, but that's
terrible
why he's
person.
interesting.
Yes.
That's
Well,
why he's interesting.
if you think about it, there are so many situations. There are different cases all over the world, and in Japan especially, when it comes to a guy like Endeavor, a serious, hard ass father like him, who like pushes his children to the
I mean,
extent that
child
they
abuse, right?
despise him. They want nothing to do with him. He's an abusive shithead father. And then his character arc of understanding how he's hurt his family and how he truly loves his family and trying to redeem himself.
Yeah.
It's genuinely, it's beautifully written. That's like one of Horikoshi's like best aspects of My Hero Academia is Endeavor and Endeavor's arc of like being
Right.
a real person. There are people like Endeavor all over the world, in the United States, Japan, Canada, Portugal.
Oh,
So
there you
yeah,
go.
Crash.
Portugal
Yeah, sorry,
mentioned,
brother.
let's
But
go.
Crash, shittiest father of the year. But but it's truly it is amazing. I know we're getting a little sidetracked, but it's just
Yeah.
I love that you brought up Endeavor, and I love that he's also one of your favorite characters. But also it shows like the nuanced writing where like maybe we should not like put the scope of real life on specific bad situations that happen in a manga, especially when it comes to just fans talking about manga. Like,
Yeah.
It's true.
Like, yeah.
Okay, we got a little off the rails, but I think we're going to be talking about Chainsaw Man, and I'm sure some real fucked up shit is going to happen in part 2 going forward, which we'll get more into that next week as we move towards, oh god, oh shit, what the fuck. But I want to pull things back to the actual Denji arc. Do you guys have any last comments on the Denji arc before we move into the second half, where I want to talk about the Asa part that kicked everything off? Oh my god, so good. But any last punctuations on Denji after that little sidebar into a little bit of discourse?
No, I think we can move on.
Moving on. All right.
Yeah,
That's good.
we can.
Yeah.
We can.
Yeah, all right. We've dug into it. Denji's arc. He's all alone, but not Asa Mitaka. Let's take it all the way back to chapter 98, where we kick things off. What was I want to hear what was your guys' initial response? Because as you probably noticed, I actually went insane when chapter 98 came out. But what was your guys' initial response to part 2 coming and Denji is nowhere to be seen? Our Chainsaw Man, where is he?
Yeah, that was so weird because he's the titular character. Like, where the hell is he? And we didn't see him for way too long. I don't know how many chapters.
It's like 6 chapters.
Yeah,
Yeah,
which in real life is like if you've been following the manga weekly from the part 1, that's like you spend like 2 years waiting for Chainsaw Man to come back, and then it's back now, and then it's like another month and a half,
yep,
Yep.
if not more, because there's
yeah.
like
Pain.
a
He
two
was
weeks
doing
break. So
bi-weekly
yeah,
because
yes,
chapter 98 is like 60 pages long. Chapter 103,
so
no,
like
10,
3 months. Yeah,
chapter 101, where Chainsaw Man reappears for the first time, it to fight the cockroach devil, is like 45 pages long. So it was the bi-weekly schedule. Plus he was doing
yeah,
like promo stuff for the anime, because the anime was airing at the same time.
yeah.
So it was like a good like 2.5 months, and then it's
Yeah,
even a few more chapters after that until Denji
yeah,
shows
because
up.
the first time it appears isn't it's just like, oh, it's Chainsaw
Yep,
Man.
he just fights and then he's
Basically.
gone.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. But
My
I think it's
initial.
nice.
Oh, sorry.
Oh,
No,
yeah.
go.
I was just gonna say my initial reaction to chapter 98 and the introduction of Asa Mitaka. I remember. So I actually I remember, like, I have a terrible memory, but I remember it so vividly because I remember, because I read Chainsaw Man weekly for quite a while as well back in part 1. Um, and I remember my favorite chapter of Chainsaw Man of all time for the longest time was chapter 85, which was the Family Burger chapter when Chainsaw Man shows up. And it was like a masterclass of dark comedy where they have
Yeah.
like their Family Burger chant, and they keep doing it throughout the chapter, but there's less characters, and it's just so funny. But I loved that chapter, and it was like the wackiness. And as Chainsaw Man ended, there was a few wacky things here and there, like the sex. I just want to have sex was what he said. I want to have sex with tons of women. I want 10 girlfriends. That chapter, that was another wacky chapter. I was like, okay, I'm starting to love this like weird shit he's getting into. Then Chainsaw Man ended. Then he put out Look Back,
Yep.
and Look Back was fantastic. Look Back
Yeah.
got very introspective and weird at times. Like the moment where like it leaves you thinking, is this real? Is this not real? Like, what's going on? When like it's like she goes back. It's not
Yeah,
real.
she's like
It's not
time
real.
And then
travel. No.
yeah, and then Goodbye Airy, and just listen to the song. Super wacky, fun, out there, amazing. But they're very
Kino.
weird. They're amazing in a weird way. It reminds me of A24 a lot,
Yeah.
and it's fantastic. And this is what is there to tide us over between part 1 and part 2. Part 2 comes. I remember my reaction reading it for the first time. I look at the first page, and it's Tanaka Sensei. He's giving an introduction.
Oh, it's
He
so
says that this is
fucking
going to
good.
be the class pet devil. and it's like Bucky, and I was like, okay, this is kind of wacky. Why are the devils in school? I guess things have changed a little bit over the past few months or whatever. No, that we don't know if devils were in school before that or not, but it felt like maybe devils have integrated more into society at that point. And then
Mhm.
Tanaka Sensei was like, in 3 months' time, you're gonna kill this chicken devil, and I was like, there it is. That's the chapter 85 wacky Chainsaw Man I love. And chapter 98 I think might be one of the most impactful chapters for me. I
Oh yeah.
loved chapter 98. That is I think that was the perfect possible way to reintroduce us to Chainsaw Man. Because the entire time I was thinking, how are we gonna get back into Chainsaw Man? Like, is it just gonna be Denji at school? Like, after 2 years of waiting for this, waiting patiently, making video after video about Chainsaw Man without there being any Chainsaw Man.
Oh man.
Like
On
what
the
what
grind.
is this gonna yeah, what is this like? What can I even expect at this point?
It's
And
true.
then to get just smacked in the face with chapter 98, that was like that was just whiplash in manga form, but in like the perfect way. It was just the perfect introduction. And I know a bunch of people were like wetting their pants and crying their eyes out about chapter 100 because it was slow and depressing and no Denji still.
Oh,
But
it's
dude,
so
chapter
good.
100 when like Yuko gives Asa one shoe and they're like running around with one shoe on each. It's just like part two. The start was just so fucking strong. I know I'm talking a lot. I'm so sorry. I'll throw the
You're
ball
good.
to you
Can
guys.
I hop in because you mentioned the one shots. I view so part one, if you look at it, the weakest part of it is certainly the plotting, the story structure. He pulls it together. He keeps it. He holds it together. But damn, at the end there, it gets real shaky. You're like, I don't know if this exactly makes sense with all the things that have happened in like there might
I
be
think
some
you don't need it
contradictions
to make
here.
sense,
Yeah,
though.
exactly. But it's good enough. The meaning and the development and the fights and the characters are good enough that it carries through. It's like, okay, I could just fucking, you know what? It's fine. It's cool. The rule of cool is fully in play here. I don't need to know how Makiba's powers all worked. Who fucking knows? Shit just kind of happens. Fine. You know what I mean? It's cool. Yeah, we're riding the train. We've been on the train. It's getting a little shaky, but we get there in the end and it's incredible. Uh and then in the two one shots, uh the stories are immaculate, right? Like the structure of these stories is just front to back, planned out. Uh, the story beats land perfectly. Everything ties together. There's still that Fujimoto ambiguity that comes into play. Like you said, when the time travel starts, you're like, wait, is this a time travel story now? And then he pulls it back around. He's like, no, it's still just a personal tragedy. And you're like, God damn, fuck you, dude. Right, and then Goodbye Area. I mean, the whole back third is just completely layered in what is real, what's the movie, did this happen, didn't this happen, did she really die, was she really a vampire? Because the final scene is the explosion, which is clearly fake. So what was real, what was fake, who knows? You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
it's just that exquisite storytelling. To me, it was like he's practicing. He's like, okay, I was fucking up at the end.
It felt
I'm
like
I'm
a
working.
uh,
Look, I worked on it.
it,
Here it is. And then at the beginning of part two, he drops the reference in 98 to Goodbye Airy, and then he drops the reference to Look Back in 100 as, okay, guys, believe me. You know what I mean? I've been working on this shit.
witness me.
Yeah, because in part two, in that first Asa arc, there's so many things that are setting up that are like, this is gonna come into play later. You have to wait. This is a different kind of ride than part one. We're not just gonna slam through the plot points, bam, 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 arc after arc after arc. Arcs are gonna end, and you're not gonna understand everything yet. You're gonna have to. You're still gonna be waiting. You're still gonna be thinking. You know what I mean? But I can do
I
it.
thought the slamming
You
through
know
arcs
I
to
can do
part
it.
one was like one of the things that made it special. I will say
True.
that where I felt the writing got shaky with part one was the very end. I feel like
Yeah.
he wrapped
Yeah.
it up too quickly. Just having it go from them being in that safe room to Denji being on the battlefield with all the fucking crosses everywhere. But like that was when that happened, when it was announced that there were only 3 more chapters of Chainsaw Man left, and I was just like, what do you mean there's only 3 more left? Like
And they
there's
didn't
so
announce
much to
like
do.
part two right away. So
Right.
we're like 1 or 2 weeks thinking that was actually just like 3 chapters, and that was
Yeah.
it.
I think
True.
part 2 was announced the day the last chapter came out, but a few
Yeah.
hours after the last chapter came out. And I remember thinking like I struggled. I was like, I don't know if I like that ending.
Yeah.
That was kind of like I'm not sure what I felt about that. And then then eventually I was just like, you know what? Like I guess it was supposed to be like a superhero origin story the whole time. So I guess like I'm content with it.
Hmm.
I feel like it's a good ending.
What
And then
is
part 2 was announced. I'm like, fuck yeah, shit ending, but we can keep going.
what a sick. I mean,
Technically not an
I think the
ending.
ending is incredible. It was like it is like a blind side at the end of part
Uh,
one because you're just like, what? You're like, huh?
I,
But
a
it all
couple
makes sense. Yeah. Go
yeah,
ahead.
a couple months ago I saw a movie which is Psycho Gorman, and I've heard that that movie is actually one of Fujimoto's favorite movies, and it makes complete sense because that final stretch of Chainsaw Man is about as insane as that movie is. Just
Yeah.
nonsensical, just and
I mean, he.
yeah, I think that's the cool part about the ending is how insane everything is. You just kind of like just go with it and have fun
Yeah. You know,
and see comedy downs.
boss rush,
Oh yeah,
boss
that's the
rush to
best part.
finish it
Yeah,
off. I
yeah.
mean,
I didn't think
classic.
that part one, like I don't think the writing in part one was like until the last 3 chapters.
Right.
The last 3 chapters, the speed from that to the end. I will say, Denji eating Makima might be the best writing in existence. That is a huge W. When the fight ended like that, I was like, I'm fine with that. I'm actually more than fine with that. That's like a massive fucking W. That
I
is
mean,
the like Giga Chad mangaka way to fucking end a villain.
Oh my
But
god, it
it
was.
doesn't make sense in a way that it does,
Oh no,
though.
it
It's like,
makes
yeah.
it makes so much sense because everybody wants to eat chainsaw. Everybody's eating the gun devil. You know, eating the
I think
devils eating each other and absorbing their
I think
power.
even Kishibe was like, I don't know why that worked.
Yeah. Yeah, you know what I mean? Kishibe was like, it's probably just a coincidence.
I
But
guess
the
you just
thing
gotta cook her.
is,
Yeah,
Makima wanted to get eaten by Chainsaw Man, and she did. And it was
She got
it's
eaten
like
by
a
Denji,
devilish
which is
form
like a
of
yeah,
huge
that
disrespect.
yeah, devilish form of love, to consume and absorb. And that's devils are doing that the whole time. They want to eat. It's it brings it all together. It's it's so weird that you
thematically
don't
makes sense.
that you wouldn't even consider it as a possibility, and then he drops it on you and you're like, of course, cannibalism.
I
Why
think,
did I think of that?
yeah, for how insane everything is in Chainsaw Man all the time, the teams are always really consistent.
Yes.
I mean, Chainsaw Man, but I mean, like Fujimoto's stories
Yeah,
in general.
he keeps the themes locked in because he knows that's kind of really what matters. We've gotten off from Asa Mitaka though. We're pulling it back in for the last quarter here. I mean, it's fair because we're just talking about the start of part two. You go back to the
Chainsaw
end
Man
of
is
part
Chainsaw Man,
one.
brother. Chainsaw Man is Chainsaw Man.
Chainsaw Man is Chainsaw Man. So part two kicks off shocking way. Obviously, Yoru shows up. Huge win for humanity right there. Creation of the best character of all time. Yoru the War Devil. Um, and then we get into, you know, basically Asami Taka's origin story arc. from her, initial encounter with Yoru to the end of Falling Devil Super Chainsaw Motorcycle. Let's go. Um, how did you all overall, thinking about it as we're just trying to establish our thoughts on part 2 thus far? Uh, how have you all felt about Asa Mitaka's arc and where that's taking the story?
I like it a lot, especially compared to Denji's story in part one. Asa makes sense. She goes through a lot of the same things that Denji did, even if she is reacts a little bit differently. She still gets rejected. She still wants that love, that companionship that Denji wants in a little bit of a different way. She's a cat girl, not a dog boy, which is a fun theme that I like about Chainsaw Man. Um, it's interesting to see her grow to be this superhero, I guess, in these last couple of chapters, because that is not at all what you expect from Asa or even from Yoru. I don't think she. I mean, she's more outgoing, I guess, but she's not really the kind of person who just straight up go kill devils and be a superhero.
It's an
Even though,
invasion of my privacy.
Jake, what
even though
what
like, yeah,
what have your overall
what-
thoughts been?
My favorite Asa Mitaka moment from so first of all, I love Asa Mitaka. She's one of my favorite characters. I like her a lot. I think she's so perfectly written. Where when I think about Asa Mitaka, do you know what, like, this is such a weird connection that I'm drawing here, but
Go
like
for it.
it feels like a well role played Dungeons and Dragons character. What I mean by that is she's so perfectly, she has rules to her character where like she has set flaws that she like that always make her fall into these pit traps because or she's her personality is so well it's just so well written. So if you think about like a good Dungeons and Dragons character, like say you write a character that no matter what, whenever he sees a treasure chest, he always runs to it and he has to open it and he's greedy and he takes all the treasure for himself. He doesn't check to see if the treasure chest is trapped ever. He doesn't check to see if it's a mimic or anything like that. He always just goes for the treasure. And like if you like maybe you yourself, if you're role playing the character, you have to think about like, okay, well I would check for traps, but Glup
he
Shido,
doesn't.
Yeah.
yeah, he doesn't check for traps, and so it's like that. Where Asa Mitaka, she has these personality quirks that make it almost like formulaic, like where it feels like and I guess Fujimoto has the experience of role playing little girls because he pretends to be his little sister
Yes.
on Twitter,
Yeah.
but like he puts Asa Mitaka in a situation. And it's almost like she's written herself already. Because how would she react? We know how she'd react because her personality is so well defined. And
True.
I love I want to get this in there. I love the moment where she says nobody's had it harder than me. I think
So
that's
good.
one of the best Asa Mitaka lines. Nobody's had it harder than me.
It's
And like she was saying that to
true.
Denji too. She's
Yes.
had it pretty bad. She has had it
She
pretty
has,
bad.
but she
But
has
it's
it pretty
just
bad
so
in
like
like.
her.
I still she has it pretty bad in like a more realistic, we can relate way. I feel
I mean, that's
Yeah,
true.
like
absolutely.
then Denji is like everyone dies and then he meets people, then they die again. Uh,
Yeah. I
Asa
mean, then he
is
goes
more
through
like,
like literal hell, like insane.
yeah,
Like you're
Yeah.
just like, what the fuck? But
yeah,
not that relatable because you're like, well, I've never been chopped up by zombies personally.
yeah.
Hard to relate
I
there.
have, but
You have? That's tough, dude.
yeah,
I'm sorry that happened to
once. It's fine. I got it back together. But Asa is more like she's being kind of bullied. It's more realistic of what you experience in school life, I guess. At least if you're a big ass nerd like me, you'd relate.
you. Oh yeah.
We
Yeah,
we I understand, sir.
Awesome
That's
Mitaka's
I've been there.
way too relatable.
Yeah,
I mean, she's definitely been a hit amongst the female fan base of Chainsaw Man as being like way too relatable. But to me, that has definitely crossed that gender barrier, because there's so much about her that's just like, oh my god, like this is just too
Literally me.
This is just literally me.
Yeah.
This is just it does feel like sort of maybe the other half of Fujimoto self-inserting, because Fujimoto's been through some kind of unique things, right? You know, he's well known that he went
He's been
through.
pushed off his bike by a woman.
I mean,
He
that
really
And
liked
he's
it.
like,
but
Makima.
he's also experienced like extreme poverty as a kid in Japan, which is pretty rare.
Well, he grew up in Akita Prefecture, right?
Yeah, and
Yeah.
it's he's out in the boonies. He experiences homelessness and stuff, and like he's got to deal with all this these sort of maybe unusual perspectives, and you can kind of see that in Denji's character, where it's very real. But if you think, how many people do I know in real life that are like Denji? I mean, maybe you met a couple
They
that are
still
kind of reminiscent.
exist.
They're
But yeah,
there, but
yeah,
is it you? Is
yeah.
it literally you? Hopefully not. If
Hopefully not.
that's literally you, you've seen some shit, bro. Like, damn, that's fucked up.
The line.
Just a side note, but that reminds me of an interview that I saw with Inyo Asano, who wrote Goodnight PunPun.
Yeah.
And he was saying that he was literally worried about he was very worried about how many people came to him and was like, PunPun's literally me, because he's like, I wrote the worst character I could think of.
You shouldn't be.
Why?
I read PunPun for the first time a few weeks ago, or like a month ago or two. Dude, I almost jumped off my fucking balcony. I was like, wow, like I don't want to live anymore. There's this shit.
Final volume
Like,
is destructive. Now you need
that
to
was
Dead at Demons.
rough.
Yeah.
Dead at Demons. I'm on Dead at Demons. Well, I wanted to do why I read PunPun is I wanted to make a video about Mujina Into the Deep, because I was like, this is pretty cool so far. And I was like, I guess like no one's talking about it. It'd be cool to talk about it, but I can't talk about an Inyo Asano work without reading Goodnight PunPun. So I binged Goodnight PunPun, and I was like, wow, I'm gonna fucking kill myself. I'm gonna fucking kill myself. That was
dark.
rough.
It's
that
deep.
was a rough read.
Oh,
that
I but yeah.
It is a nihilistic masterpiece, and it's
tough.
It's one of those things where it's just I really had to like kind of keep like it's one of those things. It made me want to write a new video called something like why you shouldn't insert yourself into a manga. Like the good thing about PunPun is when PunPun was growing up, I did see a lot of myself in PunPun. I was like, I can, like, I had trouble interacting with kids my age when I was a youngin. But then when he kind of got older and became an awful person, and also he was an awful person, and he also like he was too pathetic. He was too pathetic to the point where I was like, I didn't resonate with it anymore. I was like, and thank fuck for that, because there's just like at some of the moments that like where he was just too pathetic to like do anything meaningful with his life. I was just like, okay, like this is a little less realistic in my case.
To your case, there's definitely people like PunPun though.
Oh yeah. Oh my god, so many fucking shit, dudes. Point being,
but PunPun had like a bunch. Sorry.
Oh, go ahead.
Let's go back.
Okay.
I was gonna say there's a couple like places where PunPun could save himself, but he doesn't. He almost chooses not to.
I'm not gonna lie. That downward PunPun spiral is a little bit reminiscent of Denji's downward spiral.
Oh,
thus far.
Yeah,
just bringing it into.
I feel like Denji's the Shad of the two.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Denji's, yeah. Exactly. Yeah. Denji's like PunPun, but he chooses to actually like.
He wants to try
use of his life. I feel like PunPun
he wants to try.
PunPun and Denji are the great dichotomy, and I've been feeling this a lot lately, because I've been getting a little bit into, this is so weird and so unlike me, but I'm getting a little bit into like philosophy. I am a big fan of absurdism, which is essentially life is meaningless, so you might as well have fun with yourself. Whereas nihilism, like PunPun, it's like life is meaningless, so you might as well die. Like So it's like Denji's like the absurdist version where it's just like there's no meaning. I want to have sex, and then PunPun's like I'm certain I'll kill myself at some point.
Yeah.
Like I don't know what to
Yeah.
do.
Yeah.
And it's it's interesting, and I feel like even when we get sidetracked with something talking like PunPun and even My Hero Academia, it is very relevant to what we're talking about
I
as
mean,
well.
it's all Chainsaw
Uh,
Man in the end,
yeah,
dude. Like, you know what
It's
I mean?
yeah.
it's all Chainsaw
The
Man,
point,
baby.
the point
All
being
manga
is
Chainsaw Man.
Denji and PunPun are very real characters, but hopefully they don't resonate too much with you. If they do,
Yeah.
yeah, you'll probably get a
Get
lot out
help.
of these stories, but
See
also
someone.
you need you need what they
Go
need,
to your
which is help.
guidance counselor.
They need help.
Talk to your parents.
Yeah.
But Asa
Yeah.
Mitaka is kind of like the other side of the self insert, where like Denji is all like the weird, unusual, idiosyncratic parts of Fujimoto. And people talk about it like, yeah, you interact with Fujimoto, he does kind of act like Denji. But then Asa Mitaka is sort of like the relatable experience of Fujimoto's life. You know, Fujimoto's kind of, I mean, he really does have a very like misanthropic viewpoint through his work. Like you can tell this dude does not have the highest opinion of humanity overall. And Asamitaka is a dyed in the wool hater. So, you know, that energy of like everybody sucks, you know, I'm alone in the
No
world.
one's had it worse than
No
me.
one's had it worse than me. Shit keeps going sideways. I keep suffering. Life is hell. I'm terrified to interact with people. Like that extremely relatable, you know, teen mindset that you go through. Uh, Fujimoto is sort of taking his experience and self inserting this other aspect of himself. So now he has these two protagonists, these two sides, the kind of strange particular part and the sort of like very, I wouldn't say necessarily normal because Asmitaka is still kind of weird, but sort of the more relatable, understandable side of his particular personality. And now he's got him. Now he's got him there. We're entering the final parts of this. So just to keep it back on this Asami Taka part, let's talk about the falling arc. I do want to drill into that because it was the final Asami Taka part before we got into this Denji arc. How did you all feel about it? Because it was an interesting one in the weekly read. I think people's opinions sort of
I
really
agree.
varied as it went on. I think at the end, people are like,
Yeah.
it was good, but the weekly experience was a bit complicated.
It was as a weekly experience, that was the weakest arc by far.
Mm.
Going back now after some of the loose ends have been tied up a little more, it's pretty good. I like it a lot. But weekly, it got tough at points.
What do you think was tough about it?
Oh, I don't know, Crash. Do you want to add as well?
No, I was just gonna say that I didn't feel like that. I enjoyed the arc, especially the falling devil itself. She was interesting devil that kept me interested week after week.
She was cool. It was. I think what I found so through the weekly read, what was kind of weak in my opinion, and it's not that this is bad at all. It's just that as a weekly read, it was tough, and especially with all the breaks in between,
Yeah.
it was more action packed, which is great. I like the action moments. It's better on an actual binge than a weekly read
Oh,
or a bi-weekly read.
so
And
good.
then there was maybe a little too much mystery revealed,
Hmm.
or no, not revealed. Too much mystery, like too many questions that were dredged out. Sorry, dredged up,
Mm.
and without a lot of answers. Which I get it in a lot of manga. There are moments like this where there are questions that end up not getting any answers. Like obviously we have some more answers now. Thank God for that, which makes it a lot better in retrospect. So if you reread, like who saved Denji when the falling devil popped out from his stomach, who cut their hand and said Chainsaw Man needed to fight. Well, now we know that was probably Miri Sugo. Uh, and like when the fake Chainsaw Man came back and was like, uh you have to survive till sunrise. How did he know that? What does that even mean? And who is he? Why does he talk so politely? All these things, like lots of like it made me think like, who the fuck could he be?
Indeed.
And so many questions raised with so little answers. I will say, in retrospect, this isn't me saying that the Falling Devil arc was bad. I like it. It's good. In retrospect, it was really good, with all the questions answered now. But reading it weekly, or like kind of having to, and especially because also like I make weekly videos about Chainsaw Man, like having to read it in that capacity and try to think of something interesting to say about it every fucking time, dude.
Every time,
It's like
stop playing with us,
gets
Fujimoto.
exhausting.
Uh,
Yeah, sorry, I'm talking a lot. Sorry.
Go for it.
No, I mean that's your job.
True.
I was gonna say
Podcast.
like the Chainsaw Man plot was a bit convoluted at times. I will admit,
Yeah.
or it almost felt like it didn't make sense sometimes. I don't think we still get everything that
No.
happened and that will happen with that plot.
We.
But
I don't
hopefully, it will make
know.
sense at the end.
I don't know if we'll ever get like the real mechanical explanation that you kind of need. It's like, how did he get in that door? Dude, like, what was he doing there?
Yeah,
How did that work? Like, what's going on? I mean, we need to know more about Fammy's power set, right? Because we have no idea what all she
Yeah.
can do and what's going on. She might end up like a kind of Makima type thing where it's like, well, she has this power that lets her do all sorts of stuff, and so she does all sorts of things, and so shit just kind of happened. You know what I mean? Don't worry about it, bro.
Yeah.
We could end up with that. I hope not. He is doing a lot more world building, but I do want to save that discussion for another off week. My thing with the Falling Arc, I really loved every chapter that came out. Like I said, I'm a lot less down on all the like unsolved mysteries. If I hadn't seen Fujimoto do the 2 one-shots, I would be like, uh what is this? Like, I have low confidence that this is all going to be worked out, because a lot of stuff did not end up worked out in part 1. But he did come in like, look, I'm doing it this time, all right? There's going to be world building, there's going to be planning, go with it, you know? So I was like, okay, more stuff. And to be fair, pretty quickly after Falling ends, getting into Denji's arc, we do get to see everything. The church comes out, the guy the fake chainsaw man goes on the news, Fammy reveals what's up. So the weekly pacing, he also took a lot of breaks because the art
Yeah.
is wild in Falling Arc. Like, he went nuts. There's so many lines on every page. It's nonsense.
yeah,
Like,
good stuff.
just the detail was overwhelming at times.
Yeah, I was kind of scared because, of course, we had the one shots, and the one shots are way better drawn than Chainsaw Man.
I mean,
But I was kind of afraid of going back into part two; that'll be worse because the one shots you kind of have all the time in the world. I mean,
right.
I think even Fire Punch. I don't think Fire Punch was weekly. I feel like Fire Punch's art is actually better than Chainsaw Man Part One overall. I feel like that's because
bold.
he had a little.
That's bold. I respect you, but that's very bold.
I disagree, but I can see the take. I can see it.
I feel like he had a little bit more time into the art. And that's not to say that
It was
Chainsaw Man, when it's at its best, I'm not sure if it was weekly. Maybe it was weekly, and I'm
Fire
just
Punch is weekly. Was weekly, yeah.
It's weekly.
It
Okay,
was a weekly
but I
manga.
still do feel like I don't know. I still prefer the art. I feel like when Chainsaw Man is talking about specifically Part One, when Chainsaw Man Part One is at its best, is definitely better than Fire Punch. But I feel like overall Fire Punch was better.
Like art wise,
Yeah, that's art wise.
yeah. Illustration. I think
It was good art. It was very good art in Fire Punch.
Yeah.
I will say that. I will say I'm a huge, like, especially, actually, I will say this. I love part two's art is amazing. I am a huge dick rider for part one art. I actually think that part one had the best stylized art out of all of Fujimoto's work, in my opinion. I know it's probably a little bit controversial, but
I can see it.
one thing that I've always loved about the Chainsaw Man art style, especially in part one, was that like the character design and the characters were almost minimalistic compared to these hyper realistic and beautifully drawn backgrounds. And it kind of reminds me of like Look Back, and how Kiyomoto did the amazing highly detailed backgrounds and Fujino did all the artwork, and like and maybe that was the origin story of him growing up, and like these two parts of him where he likes drawing architecture and he likes drawing silly characters, and how those things maybe came together. But the dichotomy, like if you look at characters with dark hair in Chainsaw Man Part 1, their hair is just kind of drawn as just black, no detail, just the shape of the hair and black on a somewhat plain looking character in a suit and a tie,
That
on top
Yoshida
of this
stuff.
immaculate, beautiful background.
Yes.
And it's just like it creates such a charm and interesting style that I haven't seen in any other series.
There's
And
one.
a lot of people, I know a lot of people who see it. Oh yeah,
PunPun does the exact same thing.
PunPun,
Yeah.
exact same thing, exactly. That's why well, PunPun, even like PunPun himself was the minimalist part,
Yes.
but like all the like
The
like
The Onoderas, yeah.
The thing is with PunPun, what Asano did was he just took photos. There's actually
Yeah.
a video you can find of him drawing like for Dead Demons, which Dead Demons actually uses a lot more hand drawn stuff
Yes.
than PunPun does.
Well, yeah, because
But
it's a
the
sci-fi.
backgrounds are
You can't take a
photos.
picture of a spaceship.
But it
Maybe
kind
you
of feels
can.
like
You
it.
kinda
I mean,
can,
it kind of feels like it. It kind of does it. Anyways, but yeah, PunPun is like photorealistic, and even before PunPun, with the sound,
Yeah,
it's like photorealistic, and then just like simple cartoonish characters that I absolutely love.
Yeah, I think I think that the Fire Punch and Chainsaw Man art are pretty comparable, but he switched the style up for the different energy of story. You know what I mean? I mean, Fire Punch is that real
Yeah, I agree.
gritty. I mean, the characters looking real in Fire Punch makes sense because they're so devastatingly real and just. But the Chainsaw
I
Man
almost just
characters
want
are
to
a
pull
little
out
more
Fire Punch right
conceptual.
now.
Do it.
I can. It's
Just, yeah, I kind of want to just like look at the art.
I don't have the physicals of anything, but
I'll pull out.
let's go. Ooh, sheesh. We got some weeb flex on the podcast. Let's go.
Fire
Pull out some
Punch. I only have the first volume of Fire Punch actually.
I
need to
brought.
pull out the others.
I only collect my manga in
In
Japanese because I'm a
Ooh,
filthy
look,
weeb.
Oh,
So
yes,
I got
dude.
one. I got Fire Punch Volume 8 versus Chainsaw Man Volume 8. I want to take a look real quick.
Manga
I just want
is
to compare them, and because
manga is great. It's a mid-level reading practice, by the way.
I don't know what to use. My camera.
I think Look Back is the best
Best looking
like
one.
skill
I mean,
check.
yeah.
Oh no, in reading manga in Japanese, because there's no furigana and it's all like simple, like first like 500 kanji.
Sure.
Also, I just want to say like the covers of Fire Punch. The first one, not so much, but there's like some of my favorite covers.
Oh yeah.
Fire
Those
Punch
are
has
Amazing
amazing covers.
dude.
Yeah.
Comparable to like I loved Tokyo Ghoul
Yeah.
covers as well, but
Yeah.
like
I've never read Tokyo
still
Ghoul, but the
bringing
covers
it with the covers. By the way,
almost-
the Choujin X covers are all
Choujin X. I have some Choujin X
insane.
behind me as well.
Oh, it's so good.
You cut up?
Not to the latest 2 chapters, not the last 2, but
I just love how like in right now in Choujin X, like the whole thing is like we have to stop this opium addicted villain from getting opium, and like that's the arc. That's the arc. Is
it's so sick.
We gotta stop the supply chain of opium right now.
I gotta cut off other manga spoilers though. Read Choujin X.
Oh,
Dude.
sure.
But yeah, you'll figure out who that villain is. It's not a big spoiler, but okay.
Sorry for everyone who was very much looking forward to see a villain smoke opium.
Yeah, falling arc. Good, a little rough on the weekly. I think it was mostly just the fact that he had to take so many breaks to like draw, the Super Chainsaw Man bike. I mean, there was the 2-week break. There, he did do back to back with like the Chainsaw Motorcycle chapters. No, he took a 2-week break to do the whole, 6 double spread extravaganza Kino Cinema, one of my favorite Fujimoto chapters of all time. Oh my god, he just did not care. He was like, yeah, you're gonna read this chapter. This is this is the stuff I dropped Bomb Girl arc for, because there were so many chapters where there's just no dialogue, just fighting, and you would read it in like 5 minutes and be like, "What's gonna happen?" Like, I'm just waiting for the same thing I was
Yeah,
waiting for last week. What is this? Get me out of here!
Chainsaw
I'm
Man
just
is
gonna wait till
most
it's
definitely like
done.
Chainsaw
Yeah,
Man is way better binged.
yeah,
Um, than weekly. I remember going back to like the Gun Devil. There's like this chapter where the Gun Devil just kills a bunch of people, and
just
Yeah.
a list
the
of
chapter is like,
names.
yeah. I remember when that chapter came out. I had like so many friends that were reading Chainsaw Man with me. They were like, Chainsaw Man drop. It fell off. Like this chapter is worse. Like, bro, it's just a build-up chapter. Like, wait a minute. just when you're reading it, when you're binging it, it's not gonna
Yeah.
matter.
The thing
For me,
And
is,
it
it
doesn't.
was
Like nobody complains about that chapter now, but when it came out, like everybody.
oh
Oh god.
yeah, I mean,
Black Chainsaw Man versus the Seven Hybrids was for me and a few other people. That was like, okay, like
Oh
this is
yeah.
an awesome fight scene, but they fly by in like seconds, and I have to wait another week. Now I have
yeah,
to wait an entire week.
Mm.
I still loved it, but it was
yeah.
one of those things where it's just like, yeah,
I mean,
fast fight scene.
I'm the biggest Fujimoto apologist. I think he does battles correctly, which is where you don't have the Hunter x Hunter type fucking walls of text explaining the details of everything that's going on. Because who cares, dude? Like, I don't
It's-
Satoru
care.
Gojo's power works.
Yeah, this is domain
there's
expansion, bro.
mm.
It's got a
Oh,
fucking
This is a
range of
simple domain.
7.65 meters. It's
the,
like, holy shit,
the other
dude.
day someone
I
was
don't
asking
give a
me.
fuck what's going on with the characters and the story. Right? And
Yeah.
Fujimoto
Hook,
does
hook,
That's
my
that.
why I
friend.
hate.
But it does mean that when the fights are happening and you're reading weekly, you just get a little snack. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You have to really, he asks you to dig in yourself. He's like, you want this content to last you a week? Dig in, look at the details, think about it more. If you look at all this stuff, it's actually kind of interesting. You can see a lot of storytelling happening in the fights, but it's, I'm not going to write it out for you. All right.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you
Yeah.
if you just blast through it, you can blast through it, and that's all it is. um
I think a good middle ground is as someone who absolutely hates JJK's battles and loves Chainsaw Man, I think good middle ground is Baki, where it's like they have like a page
yes,
explaining literally everything. Like, oh, he's doing this because the drops of water do this chemically and whatever, and it's just like
yes,
for like 15 pages. It's
yes,
amazing.
yes.
I love
I
it.
I do think Fujimoto has struck more of a balance in part two. Overall, the
Mm.
serial has been way better than it was in part one. The part one serial, which not many people were on board for. I know, like most of the fandom buildup came after it finished, and you could binge the whole thing, which makes perfect sense
Yeah.
because the weekly was a bumpy ride. Like it,
Bro,
his serial
I don't know.
his serial mindset
mm,
was okay. He was doing it, but in part two, he's really doing it. The serial has been one of the best I've ever experienced. I've never seen anything like it. Every single week, there's so much to think about, and he's doing it like 10 pages, 14 pages. He doesn't need all the room to do it. He just gives you, each panel is so like, he's just he's cooking it. He's cooking something incredible
Hmm.
right now.
I can feel I can feel him having lots of fun with the way he panels the story as well.
Oh my
Compared to
god.
like I think even in part one, but I feel like in part two definitely. I
Oh,
feel like he loves the way he's doing the
oh
panels.
yeah. I I've I have so much to say about that, but we'll save that for another time again.
Yeah, another it's
Yeah.
better.
And okay, so falling arc. Now we're here with Asa Mitaka, hero of Tokyo, ascendant hero of Tokyo. We're a little bit over an hour, but this is the first episode, and we're laying it out. Part two. Asa Mitaka, hero of Tokyo. How are you thinking about her now? Where you see her going? What is as Asa Mitaka's character has sort of settled in after Sentimental Drive, her last full chapter. What are you thinking of her?
You wanna go, Jones? Mr. Jones?
Okay. I was just gonna say, like, I could not fucking tell you honestly. Like, it's too unpredictable. Right now, what I'm thinking. Okay, so Luffy just got to the island where fucking the clown guy is. He just met Nami, and he flew in on a big bird. And like, that's where I'm at right now. I'm thinking about One Piece. I just started it, so like, like
I
like
saw
what's
that.
gonna happen? Like, how is he gonna recruit Nami? I know Nami's part of his crew. Like, does the big
Oh wait,
bird come back?
spoilers.
Oh, you haven't
Oh,
read One Piece?
spoilers!
No. I'm
Are
gonna
you
say
not?
I have spoilers behind me.
Oh yeah, yeah,
What's
yeah.
that?
I have
Literally,
spoilers behind me.
yeah, literally spoilers
Oh,
on the shelf.
oh yeah. Oh, yeah, yeah. So that's where I'm at. Honestly, I'm in my One Piece arc right now. I'm just thinking like, I like this goofy little stretchy kid. He's fun. He's a fun guy. But as for what happens with Asa Mitaka, man, I couldn't fucking tell you. I couldn't. I even have a running gag on my channel that I use this future devil AI robot, and I ask it questions on live streams, like what's gonna happen in the next chapter of Chainsaw Man. And if the future devil ever gets one like crazy prediction right, I have to buy a fresh pair of Crocs, boil them, and eat them. And like that's how like certain I am that it's never gonna fucking happen. None
I
of my
mean, yeah,
I would extend that to this. If any of you can predict what's going to happen within the next like 5 chapters, hey, I'll eat some Crocs. Like that's like
mm,
it's one of those things. It's just so that's part of the charm, though. It's part of
Just
the
like
true.
Chainsaw Man flavor.
Yeah.
It's
It's
true.
a spice. It's a
You
spicy
never
pizza.
know. You never know. I did a video trying to predict part 2, and I don't even want to go back to it because of how wrong I was.
Yeah, good
I
luck.
feel ashamed.
You were like, I mean, no one saw that coming, dude. No one knew that Asa Mitaka would appear. There was like that one promo art like a week out, and everyone was like, "What? Who is that?"
Yeah.
Who
And then
is
she
this
was
shit?
Yeah.
the
The
main
next
character of
villain.
the story, and you're like,
Yeah.
"Oh, I don't know what's going on."
I had a video that was like 5 crazy Chainsaw Man fan theories, and like none of them ended up being like
Of course
anything
Even
not.
important.
close. Hey,
Like two of the names in the Gun Devil's attack having like the last name Yoshida, and I was like, hey, who knows? Or like there's the fan theory that was like the sun doesn't exist in the Chainsaw Man universe because Aki's chore calendar doesn't have Sunday on it. Uh, and like we've never seen a panel of the sun in Chainsaw Man.
I mean,
So it's just yeah.
is that still
And then like
true?
had a weird plot twist like that though. It was fun. It wasn't exactly like that, but it was. But
Um,
that's kind of like the difference between Chainsaw Man and like One Piece. If you ever look up, don't do it while you're this early. But if you ever look at like One Piece series, they go back, they look at one panel, it's like, oh, I'm going to predict the thing that happens in 1 billion chapters because in this panel this character says this and the other replies like this, and then it happens.
like,
That's the difference between.
yeah,
They predicted Sanji's plot twist in All Cake Island, which is like chapter 800, in one panel in like chapter 200. They did that.
I wasn't necessarily.
I
Chainsaw
Oh,
Man
go ahead.
fans.
I wasn't necessarily
oh no,
acting.
so you can go.
I wasn't necessarily asking for raw predictions, but if we're going for raw predictions, I do have the Justice Devil theory. I will drop it right here. The Justice Devil theory. Asmitaka is being set up. She is being fed lowball devil attacks because we know the Justice Devil could cause devil attacks, right? Justice Devil caused the
Hmm.
Yuko attack at school.
Yeah.
Set it all up. The Justice Devil. The Justice Devil is setting up all these attacks. The like increase in devil attacks, the increased appearance of devils. Justice Devil is manufacturing devils, making devils to get people more scared of devils and to like Chainsaw Man more, so they more people join the Chainsaw Man church. The Justice Devil is setting up Chainsaw Man. Now the Justice Devil is setting up Asa Mitaka. Why is the Justice Devil doing it? So that they can weaken the War Devil. They expose the War Devil as Asa Mitaka, and suddenly everyone's like, Yoru? Let's go, we love Yoru. But then,
Oh,
she gets weaker so that they can capture her and starve her and take control, which is what Fami's been trying to do this whole time. That's where my head's at. The Justice Devil theory, dropped it out there.
It
Boom.
makes a lot of sense. So I guess. So I
It's
guess it's not going to happen because it makes a lot of sense. That's
zero, no, 0%, no shot at all.
The one Chainsaw Man theory I've ever had that ended up being correct was when they first got to the aquarium and Asa was reading off the starfish facts, and she was like, some people even eat them in Kumamoto, and I was like, they are definitely eating starfish at some point in the next few chapters. And,
nice, dude.
They did.
Because at that point, we don't even know the Eternity Devil is coming into play, right? That happens right at the end of the chapter.
I just thought, like, at that point, I was like, Denji's gonna get, like... Well, no, because... No, it wasn't that chapter, was it? Yeah, it was.
It shows up right at the end of the chapter.
Because, it was that chapter when I was like, okay, they're gonna be stuck in the aquarium with no food, and they're gonna eat starfish. Denji's gonna be like,
let's go. You got it. You cooked him.
Yeah.
We've got this Fujimoto kid locked down. Also, my sickest prediction for the next arc is that Kishibe is going to die, but don't tell him when I said that.
He still needs to appear.
Yeah, he's going to show up and die. He's going to show up and die in like the space of 3 chapters, and people are going to lose their shit. Because they're like, he's back.
I can see him do that.
He's dead.
Then he gets run over by Kobeni.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Kobeni's car return. Kishibe dead.
That's... We
gotta save some of these for another podcast as well, because I was just thinking about because thinking about Kobeni's car and stuff like that's got me thinking about the Blood Devil and thinking about how Hell and the Blood Devil are going to be re-implemented into the series.
I know
that's going to have to be a discussion for that could even be an entire podcast.
That needs to happen. That is not just because I'm a big ass Power fan. I just that needs to happen.
It's Chekhov's Hell. It has to happen,
right? Like it literally has to, or Denji dies or something like that. Yeah, it's a devil contract. Yeah. They're ontologically absolute or something like that. But anyway, I think that's a solid point. As you mentioned, that's an episode for another day, and this was our first episode where we laid out a variety of thoughts on all sorts of shit, controversial topics. Which, I mean, we're talking Chainsaw Man here, so you know. It is what it is. We're talking Fujimoto. Controversial topics. A good smorgasbord of sidetracks talking about other manga, which I'm sure there'll be more of because we're all weebs here. Plans for the future.
I like that.
Yes.
I was gonna say I like this structure of you trying to just let us concentrate, and Jake just going, no, PunPun.
Endeavor, PunPun. By the way, I already know about Ace, unfortunately.
Of course you do.
I mean, yeah.
My girlfriend. We're watching the live action now, and we watched.
I actually managed to binge One Piece. I had no idea about Ace. I had no idea about anything. I literally knew nothing about One Piece except for that people said it was very good, and I just started going, and I just binged the whole thing in 2 months, front to back, and then
I watched. Yeah.
And then I did it again.
And then,
okay. I've done it twice.
I knew about all the important deaths in I knew about all the important deaths in Breaking Bad before I watched it too. So it's just
I actually have no idea.
That sucks. Oh, you gotta watch that, brother. Okay, we gotta fucking end this. Like, first of all, I gotta piss like a racehorse. So,
right. I think Dove's microphone died. I think it died. Yeah, it died. That's why the little microphone from the thrift store is the best one.
Yetis are reliable. You're back.
Yeah, this
it didn't die. It just came unplugged.
Oh, it's not. Oh.
I got you.
This was thanks for filling that dead air. This was the Public Safety Special Broadcast. Thank everyone for tuning in. These were 3 of our regularly scheduled hosts, but it could be a rotating crew. People's schedules are difficult. Crash has a kid. Jake has a life. I also have a life.
So I have a twisted nut.
Yeah. You'll probably see some different faces here and there, but we had a nice little discussion about the this first section of part 2. Next week, we're going to be getting into the particulars of what's coming next, where we are now in the story, what we're looking forward to, and how all terrified we are for chapter 142. So get excited for that. Thanks for
Don't
tuning in.
forget to hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, hit that bell button, subscribe to the Patreon, subscribe to the OnlyFans,
We don't have any of
subscribe to the.
those. Boo,
We
boo,
we do
boo.
we do we actually do.
Yeah, wait. Oh, you
the
We
don't
don't
we
even.
even
have our
have a channel
OnlyFans.
right now.
We have no channel. We're just recording.
Public safety OnlyFans.
Yes. Do all those things if you want to see more of this. Hopefully you do. Thanks for stopping by. This was a fun time, and we'll see you on the next episode.
Next video.
Goodbye. Bye bye.